What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Thirsty Thursday edition of Fourth and Go here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network. I'm Dave Gleckner. That's Marc Thomasine. We're going to get into a lot of good topics tonight, including the Eagles hiring their offensive coordinator and some other nifty moves behind the scene, including a defensive line coach. And we'll get into that as well. Talk about some rumors. A.J. Brown, trade or no trade? We'll talk Sixers. Marc sporting the City Connect jersey, but Joel Embiid, torn meniscus. What's up with that? And then we'll get into a little bit Phillies Flyers talk as well. But before we do all that, let's say welcome to the show tonight on February 1st, 2024. What's up, Marc?
What up, what up? You know why I'm wearing this shirt, right?
Well, Maxey's not playing tonight.
Maxey made the All-Star team.
Oh, good. Yeah, yes.
He's an All-Star reserve. So that, to me, what up? You know what it is. The whole nine. Anyway, thing is, I feel like it's a win for all of us. Of course, like we find out the Embiid news right before they announced the All-Star reserves. But my whole thing was he's got to get in there. And like looking at the fan vote had him like fifth. That actually the players had him voted as a starter, as a starting guard, him and Halliburton.
Yep.
But obviously they weigh the fan vote 50% or whatever. But I think it's just a win for us. It's like, obviously we knew the treasure that Embiid was, but to draft Maxey where we did, I feel like it's kind of like a little win, something you can put in the pocket and just say, we watched this kid work his ass off to become an all-star guard. And there were a lot of good players who were snubbed. Can't say they're snubbed because like a lot of players that most people probably across the country would say are more talented than him. And yet he made it. Like he beat the Trae Youngs and, you know, that's the first one I could think off the top of my head. But even Derek White, everybody was trying to make the push for him, like all this kind of stuff. Glad it happened. I feel like it's a little win for us on a day where we got a lot of bad news.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. He's one of, I think, 3 first-time All-Stars. And well deserved. I mean, I forget but off the top of my head, he's mid-20s, if not like just above that 26 a game or so.
Oh, point wise?
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, he's having
25, 26.
Yeah, he's having just one of those fantastic seasons. One in which, you know, obviously I'm very happy to see him rewarded in the right way. He's our guy. He's been our guy, Marc, since we had the draft on our show that night, and we're pumped up when they got him at, what was it, pick 20 that night?
20. Yeah. And it was all because of the whole Mike Muscala thing and, you know, making the 3-pointers and.
Yeah, but also, like we said, a little bit of benefit to a shortened college season because of COVID that year.
To me, it's like when De'Aaron Fox – when the year he got drafted, the Markelle Fultz year, he was like known for his defense, known for being a good point guard, not known for being a scorer. He completely dominated LaMelo Ball in like the quarterfinals of the tournament. He had a hell of a run, and then he was the 5th overall pick. And now look at him. Yep. And he was snubbed legitimately from the All-Star team, but he was a great player. But he built his stock up through the draft. And I truly believe that if there was a tournament that year, he would not be a Sixer. Truly believe.
No.
He's up for the big moments, and I think that's where he lives.
Yeah, and it's not like the NFL. NBA, you really can't trade up in the draft. It's very, very difficult. So even if the Sixers dialed in and liked them from pick 20, the value of pick 20 to move up would have been just a franchise-altering move. So, yeah, it was fortunate. Glad you're wearing that tonight. Cease checking in. Hey, what's up, buddy? And, yes, you might as well bring out the little violin because let's strum the music. It is another injury, and it's another lower body to the knee. You know, we can say, well, you know what? Let's open with the Sixers. News comes out today that Joel Embiid has a torn meniscus. Now, they say he's only out through the weekend. You know, I don't know, but the optics are all bad.
Facilitating a plan.
Yeah, the optics are just terrible because he sits out last minute in Denver. Last minute scratch, let's say on Saturday night, they put up a heroic effort without Maxey, Melton, Tobias that night, and Embiid, and almost pulled it off. It was like I was sitting there with my family because it was my son's one birthday, And a bunch of people, I know everybody's like, I just love watching this team tonight. It was just a great effort. But they travel over to Portland the next night, get smoked.
Yeah.
And then, 2 nights later on Monday. And then all of a sudden, they got to bring Embiid back versus Golden State. And people can say what they want. They can say, hey, he looked horrible out there. Why did you bring him out at all? No, he looked fine early. It wasn't until he kind of got tangled up in the second quarter. That's when I would have shut it down. He looked really bulky by halftime. Yeah. Comes out in the third, still looks a mess, and then, unfortunately, gets hit in the fourth.
Yeah.
It's bad, man. It's just bad optics.
No, it doesn't look good at all. One note, Maxey is 25.7 points.
We're right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
I forget.
I'm just saying it's a bad optics. Yeah, it's a bad view. Like, we're sitting him, then we're finally playing him, and then he tweaks it, and then we still let him go back out there when he obviously doesn't look right. I didn't mind the decision to play him. I minded the decision once he was tangled up in the second quarter to continue to play him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They were even talking about, like, even on the Golden State report, how they were talking about Chris Hayes, sideline reporter who breaks a lot of news. He was saying, Embiid is considering, like, he's okay if he doesn't make the game minimum to get the MVP.
Yeah.
Focuses the playoffs. And of course, they're saying that just probably the quarter before that Draymond or Kuminga, I forget who it was, that fell on his knee. And then now we are where we are.
Yeah, it's a shame. And it's just, I like this point here. It's the same old song. I agree. But I mean, I get he's playing his ass off. It's just the way he plays in an unfortunate situation, how big he is and how much stress is put on his lower body, that he's going to get tweaked. And we just hope this isn't season threatening. Meniscus, I've seen people come around with, but I've seen 6 weeks more than anything. Like, it's not a couple days. So we're going to but it blows the season. This is what scares me. The Knicks are firing away. They just won again tonight. They've passed us in the standings. Like, and losing him for anywhere up to a month, what I've seen on this court lately, they're in bad shape. And they're going to end up in the 6th, 7th seed and have to play Milwaukee or Boston or, a thriving Knicks team. This is just bad all around.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have any thoughts about trading him. I know we've probably ran that.
No.
My whole thing is, I was thinking about this tonight. Spike Eskin put out something earlier, just like saying how he's our guy. It would be weird. Also, Maxey is playing tonight. He's about.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's good to see him out there. And maybe this is where his ascension, he gets the all-star nod. He's healthy. He's ready to go again. Maybe he can power this team. Maybe they can get the wins. Maybe they might not get the wins against, I know they don't play Boston until I think the end of the year. Like, they don't play those teams. But maybe he can be the guy that wills them to, a 500 record without Embiid. Like, I think that's possible that they can do this. So my thought with Embiid, he's our guy. Like, and he's put on for the city. I know everybody loves to complain about him, but the one thing is he does give his all, whether it's to win an MVP or not. You can tell, and especially now that it's become his team, he took a role, like, it's been well documented. When he first got into the league, like, he was very to himself, just played his video games in the room himself. Then a couple years ago, he had to start being the mature one in the room and start getting it together. But then you have the whole Ben Simmons drama, and you have James Harden. This is the first year that he could be like, okay, I got to get the guys to follow my lead. And he's finally been doing it, whether it's the Nick Nurse effect, which I think has been a huge help. I think he has a team around him that's, supports him through and through. So the amount of time that he misses, I think it's probably best if he misses a month or so, because the opportunity and the hope is, yes, you might have a harder draw first round, but if he's healthy and you really get the best version of him, maybe you find your way through it. Maybe like with a dysfunctional Milwaukee team this year under Doc Rivers, like you have the chance. I think it's your best chance for a healthy Embiid going into the playoffs.
Oh, I know. There's no way I'm playing without it. I'm just saying that their season might be done. I'm just being honest, and and being reflective on how they've played without Embiid this year. I think somewhere in the 2-12 range. It's really bad. And like it or not, you can't play, and he's got to sit. And I do hear your point potentially that they could sneak up on people, and now he could be fully healthy going to the playoffs instead of a banged up Joe going in 70 games. Like, he's missed at least 1 or 2 playoff games every year. That
Yes.
I know Brooklyn 2 years ago, last year, Boston, he missed a couple of games. He's the thing. We have this injury against the Hawks. He did miss a game or 2 against the Hawks, and then did get his knee kind of cleaned out. So I do think it was meniscus. I think you're onto something there. He hurt something in his knee against Atlanta, had surgery after the series.
I actually feel like the injury came during the Washington series that year.
It did.
And then
the game
that series was against Atlanta. And then after the season, they were like, this is something that he should get surgery on, but they can wait until after this season.
Yeah, I guess it matters. And look at it, was against Washington. He did have a torn meniscus and played through it in the playoffs and then got repaired. So, yeah, we'll have to see how big of a tear this is. It is going to impact, obviously, his MVP candidacy. And I'm with you and I'm with him. It doesn't matter. Got it last year, and they can take whatever they want from him. If he goes and averages 36, 37, a game and leads the league in score, like, you had a fantastic year. You just didn't play enough to qualify, and I'm okay with that. There's a bigger picture now, and a more mature Joe understands that. So it's a little disheartening.
Shaq even said tonight, he was the clear-cut MVP.
Yeah.
Before this injury. Like, there's no doubt about it. He was playing like the best player in the league. So, and that's coming from him, who, doesn't run to give compliments. Like, you have to.
No, he loves Joe, but yeah.
He does, but he's been very critical of him, not in a negative way, but like, if he's going to call it how he is, he's going to call it like he sees it.
Yeah. What's up, Dan? Thanks for checking in.
Dan?
Yeah.
Sty Guy Sisters. It's my boy.
Nice. But here's the thing. I'm a betting guy, and obviously, track some of those MVP odds. And there was about a week or two ago that Embiid was only minus 120, even though he's a clear favorite, because he needs that clear threshold of like souxi9 or 67 games played. And that was the only reason you would bet against Embiid and bet for someone else.
Right. Sure.
Well, he was the clear favorite, was going to win it, except for that threshold. Now he's not going to get there. I didn't touch it, by the way, at the time, but it was something I was like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to bet on his health because it was so easy for him to win it. But now look at it. But
now the odds are going to flip for sure.
And let's just talk about the team in general. I mean, there's just I love seeing some of these guys get minutes and hopefully, get themselves more confident if they're called upon in the playoffs. You're seeing a lot of KJ Martin here or there. You're seeing some Springer too, which I like. These are guys that you would have never seen Doc play.
Sure.
Morris looks very solid. I'm good with that. Obviously, and I think we've talked about this, I love Pat Bev. I love seeing him out there.
Yeah,
he's on the floor too. Love it.
Scoring. He's been scoring in the absences.
Yep, Oubre getting a chance to be really primary scorer on a team. So we'll see how it reacts with Maxey tonight. But they got to find themselves a win. Utah's been playing very well at home. I think they're like 13-5 there in the last 18, and they score a ton of points. So it's going to be challenging, but they got to find themselves to get some of this momentum back because otherwise it's an 0-5 road trip, and that's not good.
Right. I think they have a chance to turn this around. I think they have a chance to bring it back. I think they're going to play up with Embiid being out. I really think that's going to be the case. If he's out for an experience, I think they're going to get it together. I think they're going to, because the thing that was the issue in years past when he's been out, they've had to completely change their game plan. Like with Brett and Doc, I feel like it was like, all right, it's about what Embiid does, and you guys all do everything else. I think the system that Nick Nurse has installed as being a much better coach than I think both of them, like X's and O's guy, I think he's able to say, okay, this is what we do with Joe, this is what we do without Joe, but we can kind of make this seamless to where we're not reinventing the wheel when he's not there. And I think he's prepared for these types of situations.
Yeah. And it's funny, for my son's birthday, he just turned 10, huge basketball fan, who was rocking a Jordan jersey tonight at basketball practice. Bought him a 3-game pack for the Sixers. Yeah. Our first game's Monday against Luka and Dallas. And now no Joe. But it's okay because the kind of things we just said with all these guys playing, and now that Maxey's back, I think they will be fun. As long as Maxey's in there, I think they're going to be fun.
I mean, Maxey looks great to start. He's cutting it up right now. I think he's got 7 or 9 of their 16 points right now.
Yeah, he's up to 10, 4 or 5 from the field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now one of the big things that we're going to have to watch, and see, I agree, like, let's rest him.
Oh, God, he's so good.
Maxey?
Yes. He crossed up the guy went sliding, he pulled back 3. Oh, God.
I see he's 3 for 3 from 3 already. But
that all-star nod definitely is going to help the confidence. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree that probably a little rest here as long as we can and get healthier for a playoff run. I hear you. And I just hope that we do find something here to get this team confidence to head into the playoffs. And they got the right man in charge. Again, another 3?
And this was like 4 to 5 feet beyond the arc. He checked it right there.
I see he's got 16 now. 4 for 4.
Yeah.
But they got the right man in charge in Nick Nurse. So that, he'll find ways. He'll be creative without Joe, and he'll be able to get this team going. I just hope they don't fall too far down the standings, because that's what I want to talk about real fast. Looking here, like I said, the Knicks have jumped up now. They pulled away from the Pacers. They're winning without Julius Randle, one of their key stars, too. Right. So they found a way. Cleveland has now passed the Sixers, too, and went down to the 5th spot. Yeah. So, going to need some.
I think they'll be just fine. I like their chances. Obviously with Embiid, I like their chances against New York, and I know New York, boat raced us when we played them, but I think, and that OG trade was huge for them. He's plus 293 on the season, at least as of a couple of days ago. That's insane. Those are insane numbers.
Yo, bro, I hate RJ Barrett. I think he's a cancer. And so just getting rid of him for anything that's productive, I think, and I also think Julius Randle is, a very temperamental player. Great when he's doing great, but when he's doing bad, he just mopes and doesn't hustle. So anyway, you're right with the OG. They're a lot more formidable. They're a half game behind Milwaukee now, by the way.
Right.
Milwaukee, you're right. They kind of are in like this little funk fog, paying 3 head coaches. We'll see how that works. They lost to Portland the other night on Dame's return.
Yeah.
It is there's still so much to be. I'm not giving up on the season. I'm just telling you, now that I see the gap between 5 and 6 is pretty wide. If we can somehow stay afloat in that kind of 4-5 area again, I'll be all right.
I think I don't know why I feel optimistic about it. Not that they're going to go win the title, but I think that they will be fine in this stretch without him, regardless of how long it is. I truly believe so, because I think they're going to beat the teams that they have to beat. I think they're going to have a couple games. I think they'll win a couple games that they're not expected to, but mostly it's just going to be they'll take care of the teams that they need to take care of. Because in the NBA, there are a lot of teams that they are better than, for the most part, like in regards to the rest of the team wise. Your Milwaukee's, your Knicks, Cavs, like all the teams in front of us, and only a couple teams in the West. Besides that, I think they can take care of most people. And the one thing I thought about too, the Pacers are, something else right now too. So
they had they lost to Boston and New York back to back, but both games really both teams really tough. And Halliburton's back now, and with Siakam in there, they're gonna gel. They're gonna be
this is tough.
They're like, I want to say they're either 4-0 or 4-1 against Milwaukee this year. I would love to see them match up in the playoffs. I would love to see the Sixers finally get a chance to play Milwaukee. We always have to run up against the other green team. I'd love to see us an Embiid Giannis series would be epic. I can't believe they haven't had the opportunity to play yet. So, only other thing I wanted to highlight a little bit here, Mark, with basketball is we're running into, some people are saying, is scoring a problem in the NBA right now? And a problem from the standpoint of, are we seeing too much individual scoring? I never thought someone would complain about 70, then 73, then 62. But there are some, it's taken away from the game. To me, it's not. And I just wanted to get your opinion, because we're kind of hoop heads here and we love great basketball. I appreciate, I don't think Luka only shot shot less than 30 times to get a 73. Right. It wasn't ball dominant. Even Embiid, I think he got 6 assists that night or something like that. He was the first with the stat line and 18 rebounds when he got 70. Their ball it still moves a little bit, and you got to appreciate good basketball. And to me, it's not a problem when you see these guys put on miraculous, great displays like they have. And of course, they meet up on Monday night again.
Sure. So I think the thing with Embiid's, at least speaking on that, because watching the game and really being in tune with it, he had 18 rebounds, as you said, early in the game. And I think I said the same point last week. Early in the game, he was just out hustling and out rebounding. He was all over the glass early in the game. So he was getting second and third chance opportunities. That was a lot of his scoring early on in the game. And then he kind of moved out and went to the post and was pulling up, from 12, 14 feet, hitting that dagger from the free throw line. No, I don't think it's a problem. I can see why, the game has changed. It's more of an offensive game. That is clearly what the NBA wants, just like the NFL. I mean, look, they want it to be fun. They want scoring. I don't fault them for that. It's not like, the hardened fouls that he gets every single time. That's not what we're watching. We're not watching like him take a crazy shot and going into it. We're not seeing that.
Yep.
I think the defense could always be a little better, but they have made the game. They changed the game for the way it's played, the way that you play defense. But I think it's a good thing. It's really a good thing because it gets people involved. Think about how many people like Minnesota, Dallas, Philadelphia, Phoenix, they all had guys who crossed that 60-point plateau like in 1 week. Like that's going to turn eyes. Everything on SportsCenter. It's not like, Embiid had a good game with 30 points. It's like, no, he had 70 points. Like Luka had 73 points. Like you don't see this often. Maybe there was something in the air with it being 18 years since Kobe's 81. I don't know, but there's nothing wrong with it. Now, if any Joe Schmo is doing now in the regular, then I would say we have a problem. But these are elite guys, elite pure scorers who are doing it. Cat, a little surprised about. I mean, he was daggering from three. It's not like he was doing it all in the post. That's the only one where I'm like, meh. But he's still a really good player. He's had all the.
He is.
But I mean, Booker,
Luka, like you. Yeah. I think the Cat game was a little eye opening for them because they that's not the way they should be playing basketball when you got other people with this stuff. And they lost to Charlotte that night. So coach was a little pissed in that game. But I agree. Everything else I think has been just really cool to see. And ironically, it's fallen on Kobe anniversaries. Obviously, the one on his anniversary, 81 points. I think Luka's was on the anniversary when he passed away. I think it was. But anyway, NBA wrap up there. The Sixers. Let's see what they can do tonight in a good battle, high-scoring battle with Utah right now as we speak. And we'll update during the show here. We got 26-21. No, now 27-23.
Beverly's at the line. So
yeah.
27, probably 28. Yeah.
Yep. So let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Last week we talked about one of their bigger moves. That was to bring in Vic Fangio, where we were very on board with the move. We did hear some people on Miami that were happy to see old Vic get out of there because they didn't really mesh, or he didn't mesh with them and their personalities. But again, Eagles need probably a different type of voice. They're more veteran-laden team. They'll be fine with a guy like Vic. But on the other side, we talked about them, and I kind of identified Kellen Moore as our top target. I did say it would be interesting if they were able to kind of reel in Cliff Kingsbury, and I would have been fine with it. But Moore was definitely the eye of our prize, the apple of our eyes. And we got him. And Cease checks in, he will bring me more creativity. Yeah. He is a guy that puts people in motion. He is a guy that tries to kind of identify mismatches. And he is a guy that has led some top offenses. People point out the year that Dak threw his 15 interceptions, but the year before that he went 37-10. This year he goes 36-9. So Kellen Moore coached number one offenses in Dallas, and they'll say, oh, they didn't run in LA. Look, nobody could have ran in LA. I'm telling you right now, I watched the game. Eckler averaged 2 yards a carry because that offensive line was atrocious. They've never fixed that thing, so he could do it. Would you keep running if it was 2 yards a carry?
No,
I would
not.
So I can't blame him on that. I'm really pumped. I'm really amped, and I'm excited about bringing Kellen Moore here. How about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. The big thing is two things. Obviously, you hit on the motion. Like you saw, especially like for San Francisco, teams like San Francisco, Miami, Debo and Tyreek. What they do, they move them. They keep their cornerbacks moving, whether it's they switch off from side to side or that guy has to follow them. And they run towards the tight end, then they run back and turn around. You keep the defense guessing. The one thing the Eagles did not do is keep the defense guessing. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, they've all gone out there and said they're predictable. We know what's coming. Like, we can see what's coming because we don't do anything different. We don't change it up. So the fact that he loves to use motion, that's going to be great. I think Devontae is really somebody that you could like, and people are saying that Devontae is going to be the guy that benefits the most out of this. And I believe so. He's really that type of receiver. Like, he's honestly, like, I think AJ Brown right now is the better of the two, but Devontae is actually skill set wise a better receiver. I think he's the best route runner in the NFL. He's not the fastest, but I think he's the best. He's so crisp. I was thinking about this. I was on a walk today and I don't know why I was thinking about this, but he literally can cut on a dime. And there are so many times where he just gets so wide open because he does not telegraph his moves. Like when he's going to make a cut, you don't even see a windup. He just does it. He's so smooth. His footwork is amazing. So he's going to benefit. You're going to really utilize his speed. And I think we're going to be able to do more with that. That's one thing. And then the other thing was, he is in 2022, the Cowboys were the best at picking up the blitz. They were number one in the league. After we saw what happened, especially the last 6 weeks of the season, where they could not, stop a cold from coming in, Kellen Moore will be able to, and especially if this line is mostly intact, they will be able to pick up blitzes. They will use the running backs and tight ends more in blitz pickup. I truly think that that's going to be something that we see. They needed a new voice. They're going to, they wanted to keep Nick there. Fine. We made our bed with it. We got that. But they brought in a young, innovative offensive coordinator and a veteran savvy defensive coordinator. I like what they did between the two moves.
I really do too. And good news, Jeff Statlin's coming back too. So, offensive line will be intact. You talk about bringing up the blitz or picking up the blitz. He'll work well with Kellen Moore. They'll find ways to get this thing figured out. That's what teams are going to want to come into the season against the Eagles, especially Jalen Hurts. Some other news out there, not solid yet, but the quarterback coach out of L.A. could also come with Kellen Moore. Doug Nussmeier, he's still technically under contract. That's why you haven't heard that move yet. But it would be interesting because he's been attached to Kellen Moore in both Dallas and now LA. So I think that would be cool if you have some, friendships in the room and some continuity to bring along. But, I think the Eagles are making a lot of decent moves. They hired Seattle's defensive coordinator, right, as their D-line coach. Did you see that move?
Clint Hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that move. Guy's huge. But
did you see his first quote?
What was it? What they
I don't want my big guys running backwards.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. He doesn't want him dropping back.
Was he their DC last year?
I thought he was.
That's what I heard. He was actually their defensive coordinator, and now he's coming back. I mean, obviously, it's what happened when you bring in a new staff.
And they hired their new coach anyway, in Mike McDonald. Yeah, he's enormous. I agree.
Tank.
Yeah. What's that?
He's a tank. Yeah, he was the DC last year.
Nope. Which is weird because we got Sean Desai from Seattle as well, right? So 2 years in a row we're getting there. But this time this guy's coming in just to, help out Vic. And I love it. It's just a new – as much as I was worried about the freshness we would have bringing back Sirianni, it does feel fresh now all of a sudden with these two dynamic pieces and successful NFL coaches joining the squad. So I'm kind of amped up. I'm back. I'm okay with Nick being around now that he's building his coordinators for success and how he has allowed him to build for success.
Well, that's the thing. I think at this point we got to get over what we did, and I think we have. I think we're like, look, it is what it is at this point. Getting good coordinators can definitely help. I mean, think about it. Both the coordinators that got them to the Super Bowl are gone. So it's a new start. They kind of had to make shift last year. I mean, think about it. you only brought in Brian Johnson because that was Hurts's guy, and you only brought in Sean Desai because you were late to the party in getting a defensive coordinator, and there weren't options like there were this year. There are a lot more options this year, and really the guy that you wanted to bring in, you got this year. You wanted him to be the guy last year since he was doing special assistant stuff at the end of the year for you. So, it definitely it worked out in their favor finally this year. And I think there's a lot to be excited about, but I mean, the next move is what are we bringing in? I'm not worried about the offense. It's the defense. They really need to make a lot of moves. And we'll, see from there what they can actually do. I think they need to sign a linebacker in free agency, but we'll get into that more. But yeah.
Yeah. So to answer Adam's question there, I think the Fangio move's great. I do. I really do. I know he can be a little rough around the edges, but we talked about last week. He's a huge Phillies fan. He's from PA, and he's going to come in here with a new perspective. And yeah, I think his base is a 3-4, isn't it?
I'm not certain, to be honest, about.
I think he played 3-4 in Miami at least.
Okay.
But everybody's personnel is different. But I haven't seen a 3-4 run here, and God knows when. We've always kind of wanted. Instead, we get wide nines, and what did they call the other one? A 4-6 or something. What Schwartz had. Schwartz kind of was a modified wide nine.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a wide nine. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
the thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with Fangio, there was a lot of talk that, Miami I don't know if you saw that Drew Rosenhaus came out and he was kind of bad talking Fangio, and there are some players who are not happy. And then Jaws was on the radio earlier this week, and he was saying, no, it's the opposite. The thing that was going on in Miami, there's two things. They had a lot of injuries late in the year, and we discussed that. But also the other issue was, I think he pushed his players, and there was a lot that didn't take to it in Miami. And apparently those were the guys who wanted to not work as hard. And I think they had a lot of personality on that side of the ball in Miami. So I think it was just, he was a no-nonsense guy, and there was nonsense going on. And I think that was part of the reason why it didn't gel in Miami. And now he's got a new shot at it. Hopefully we bring in the right people personnel-wise on defense to actually go and get things done. And I think a guy like Clint Hurt on your sidelines doesn't hurt.
No, not at all. And yeah, like he said, then looking up, it is 3-4 base, which we talked about. Yeah, that Castillo was also bad with that. Yeah. It was a wide 9, I think. Not necessarily. Yeah, but we're still on the same page here. That was a Andy Reid, what the hell are you doing? He was your offensive line coach, and now he's all of a sudden a defensive coordinator. That was panic. And you know who we lost in the middle of all that? McDermott. McDermott was on Reid's staff, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was all right around the Castillo days. But
Buffalo and
And then so everything is kind of positive. Vic will also, what I read about him is he doesn't tend to blitz a lot, and that goes back to some of the other theories behind what was successful previously under Schwartz. And I know Gannon didn't tend to blitz a lot. I know we thirst for a blitz here. The blitzes I want are the creative blitzes. I've rarely seen us rush a safety or a defensive back off the edge, just to kind of give a different look. And I know when you do that and you kind of premeditate it, good quarterback will eat it up. So it's got to be smart. But yeah, I'm excited because a lot of things I've heard are, he'll throw man looks, zone looks. He wants to disguise coverages more than he wants to blitz. So I'm good with that. I'm good with anything different than what I saw this year.
It's just tough because I know we want the Jim Johnson defense because he was able to utilize Brian Dawkins. And when he was at the line, even if the defense saw it coming, you still couldn't stop it. That's just how good it was. And everything was so exotic. You never knew which way this team was coming. And we just don't have that personnel. We just don't.
Yep. I agree. Personnel is going to be a huge thing in the offseason here, especially to figure out how to, infuse that defense with talent. Because what we thought they had talent-wise, we were definitely fooled. Obviously, on the back line there, they were never good. Whatever Howie did to try and build that area, he thought he was hiding it or disguising it, what we just asked for, with a good defensive line. That's the problem. That defensive line never got home. The additions up front, as much as Jalen Carter looked good early, he wasn't great late. Jordan Davis really, again, kind of fizzled off. You just didn't get the same production from the ends. And, you got Sweat and you got Redick, but you got nothing else that creates any havoc back there. And those two guys, they're easily pushed off the line and the holes are open because every defense knows, or every offense knows what they're doing. So I agree with you. I think that they just need a lot of pieces. They're really lacking for talent on defense.
Yeah, I mean that the thing is this offseason and the season is going to be predicated on what they do in the offseason. So it's a lot of work. We'll see if they have it in them.
Yeah, so the question here, Vanjo, so it depends. It's not as much press coverage, but he will show signs of it. So he is a little more zone based, so you don't see a lot of press up on zone base, but you will see, zones will play. Hopefully, he'll play a little tighter to the line than Slay being 10 yards off. I'm okay with that. I don't need necessarily press, but like you, I think this is what you're alluding to, Adam. We just need to see some. You can't just give up these free 8-yard, 9-yard hooks. So,
but
I think
that's
he will.
That's been something they've been doing for years now. They got away with it last year, but for the most part, I mean, it goes back to 5, 6, 7 years ago. They were still playing. Like, I just remember that one Tennessee playoff game, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and in overtime, or I think it was either what led into overtime, but the Eagles were playing 12 yards off and they needed 10 yards to get the first down. If the Eagles stop them, they control them and win the game. But they were playing so far off that they got the first down and they lost, and they ended up losing the game by a field goal. Like, those are the types of things that this team has just been doing for a while. Is it the personnel? Is it just the,
That was Tennessee. I remember still to this day.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, whatever that stuck out, because it's just like we literally said get the first down.
Yep.
Literally. So I think it's going to be a while before we see them actually play continuous press, but we'll just see if like all the can tackle them. Like, you don't get burn over top, great, but they get the cut and weave down the field and less time that you have. And the reason why we were good in 22 is because we trusted our run game more and we ran the ball, so we gave them less time to do that. But this year, when you don't rely on the run and you're on defense a lot, your defense is getting winded because you're giving them all this opportunity. So, playing zone when you have a good running game is fine, but when you don't have a good running game, it beats you up. And that's what we saw. All
right, let's go to the elephant in the room. The one thing that's been swirling around this team over the past couple of days, and even he had to respond to it, that's A.J. Brown. There was news coming out that, and who knows where it got leaked from. There's been reports that it's, some personalities on the local airwaves that just want to rile things up to get some clicks and some ratings. But at the same time, it's probably impacted the Eagles enough that they've had to have some people, reach out to those in the business, say, no way, no how. And that's about trading A.J. Brown. I'll be the first one to say it. No. I don't know what went on at the end of this year. I don't really – that's hopefully just water over the bridge at this point, because A.J. Brown is a special player. As much as we all love Skinny Batman and Devontae Smith, he can't be Skinny Batman and save this team on his own. I mean, they need a second guy, if not, Devontae's second. They're 1A, 1B. A.J. Brown's a phenomenal football player, a great player that I love here. And I didn't love how the kind of season ended, but nobody did. And I can't put that just on A.J. Brown. I can't see anyway. You're not going to find anything better. I've seen some talks about maybe is it T. Higgins that's a free agent, and some other. But again, T. Higgins is a good player. He's not a physical powerful player like an AJ Brown, I don't trade him, and unless there's an absolute unrepairable relationship. But if it can get fixed up and we got the new energy coming in, AJ's my man. He's my dog. I'd go out there any day with him and play football. So how do you feel?
So it's like this. We're here because of him. Yeah. That is the end all be all. And it all stems back to week 2 of the NFL. Now, I was listening to the radio and I heard somebody say that they knew somebody from Tennessee and they were like, well, how do you feel about AJ Brown? And they were like, what do you mean? And they were like, you know, he's a diva, but he's your diva. So the thing is, like, you love him, but you know that you're getting the extra with him. And he's made it clear. And I know it's been noted before that I think his mental gets thrown off when things go awry. Like that's the word. But the whole problem in all of this is this all starts with him. He gets, you know, he doesn't want to answer questions about what happened on the sideline week 2 against Minnesota, where he's voicing his displeasure with Jalen Hurts. Okay. And then he goes on a streak where he's, you know, he has 6 games in a row of 125 plus, scoring touchdowns. He's right. He was at times probably around week 8. Like, could he even be an MVP candidate? He was playing that great. And then things slowed off when the offense started to teeter and go downhill. But he does this whole, I'm not talking. And I get it. Like, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I get it. But then he even saw the consequences of doing that in his teammates having the answer for him. And the thing is, all this stuff that is going on is all stuff that he knows. And he's still, to this moment, trying to say, oh, I'm just trying to do what's right and everything like that. But you're not. And the actions that you're taking are not helping yourself out. Like, he scrubbed his Instagram around at the very end of the season. He scrubbed his Instagram of all the Eagle stuff. And then when he was asked about it the other day on Kay Adams' show, he said, it had nothing to do with football. What do you mean it had nothing to do with football? You took everything off that was related to football. So when you do that, you've made it known that there is an issue. You have some kind of issue, whether it's with the trolls, whether it's with the fans, whether it's with ownership, coaches, Jalen, players, whoever. Like, it's so contradictory, and it's all the stuff that he's doing. At the end of the day, he gets mad, and players get mad when they say it's the media. Sometimes the media, this all stemmed because of all the actions that he's been taking. And I know the media personality who put this out there was saying, would you trade AJ Brown to the Broncos for Patrick Surtain, essentially saying, like, yeah, we lose our best receiver to gain an amazing quarterback. Like, I still wouldn't do it either. It would be a great fit, but I think you need that. Like you said, Devontae can't do it all on his own. And I don't think there's really anybody besides like a Justin Jefferson or somebody like that you can bring in that could fill that same role. So you can't let AJ Brown go. And the other thing you got to think about is too, he's got I think a $41 million.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It costs so much money. And it's like,
just to trade him, not to release him, to trade him.
Trade him. Yeah. So we're going to, no, Howie's not doing that. They're going to figure it out. I just wish that AJ, and I know AJ's kind of like, because he got traded from Tennessee, trying to like protect himself from like, you know, because all he had to say is, like Kay Adams said, will you be catching passes as a Philadelphia Eagle this year? He goes, I'm just focused on my family in the offseason. It's like, dude,
just answer.
If you want to be there, just say, yeah, like, look, I know it's a business and whatever, but I do want to be catching passes. And it's like, and even Devontae Smith said he's not going anywhere. But like, AJ's almost making it worse. I get the media is a pain in the ass, but you also got to like put the stop to it. He easily could put the stop to it. There were 3 or 4 different times that she gave him layups. Or just like, just say this and appease me, and we'll all shut up about it.
Yeah.
And he just wouldn't do it. Just do it. Like, it's maddening just thinking like, it's so easy.
I hear it. So where are you though? I get it.
No, I wouldn't trade him. I think it's
okay. Good.
Positive. Good. Sorry, there's no positive impact of trading him. Patrick Surtain is the most is the closest thing to doing it, and even then, I still wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So see, to your point, the last 2 words you have on here, I haven't seen you run her out. but I would trade you for Quez Watkins. I don't want to see Quez Watkins back
Right.
here. Like I'm done with that experiment. And it's so true. Like there's just nothing else. Devontae was by himself in that Tampa Bay game, trying to will the receivers, down the field. He had an Eagles playoff record, I think, in yards in that game. It did the best he could to put on that cape that we talk about when we say skinny Batman. So, yes, I do believe they do need a better third receiver. And look, I love when Dave checks in. I've been hammering the Knicks. We talked about the NBA earlier in this show and how good they are, moving up to third in the East, only half game behind Milwaukee for second. 9-0, you're right. 13-3 against the spread in January, won again tonight. So now that's a 14-3 run ATS, which I think is even more impressive than their win streak. But they're playing well, and if you're a Knicks fan, you have to question, is Julius Randle expendable a little bit? Because they play better. Dante DiVincenzo, now he jacked up like 16 or 17 threes, a little much, but before he's been putting up 30. He's been playing well for them. No, I'm not saying he's Randle, but I'm just saying they play better, like you were saying with
the North.
Yeah.
The North.
But hey, talking to with this AJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say off Cease's point, because I saw something today. Now who knows? But here's the one thing that I think would make a lot of sense. They want us because they do have money. They can spend money, and I think would be a great third receiver option. This is kind of wish listy, but with Jeffrey Lurie and the way that he loves the pass game, I think this would be the perfect move. Bringing Tyler Boyd as that third receiver.
Maybe with Boyd, I think Higgins is too, but Boyd would be a nice.
Higgins is going to get a lot of money. He's going to get a crazy deal from somewhere because of what he was able to do. He wants to try and prove that he's a number one because Jamar is there. I think that could spell problems if they lose both Higgins and Tyler Boyd. But Tyler Boyd is a free agent. Look, you throw him some money, he's going to get a nice penny. But to have a third receiver like Tyler Boyd, he's a veteran, he's experienced, he's very good. And when they've had to rely on him because they've had injury concerns with both Chase and Higgins, he stepped up for them with Joe Burrow. So, if you really are Jeffrey Lurie and you want to make this a crazy scheme with Kellen Moore, get him Tyler Boyd. Now, I think I'm dreaming a little bit, but I think that would be a knockout wide receiver 3. Knockout.
Yeah, I like it. I do think, with the Eagles, kind of having an extra second round pick, even getting we have 2 second rounds this year, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's part of the deal from the other year. But I wouldn't mind seeing the receiver crop is big again in the NFL draft. But, to your point, I like Boyd. One name, and I know this is my pipe dream, and I like Boyd for kind of probably the reasons you like him. It kind of puts a taller receiver in the down in the red zone. I feel like we can get stuck a little bit, but I like myself some Michael Pittman, but I do think he's probably going to get a bigger offer. Yeah, he's probably the 2. Mike Evans is out there too, but we're not. You can't go get him. And he's a big time player. Just a pro's pro, but there's a point when the physicality is going to take some toll on him. But he'll resign with Tampa. I think you got to find.
Yeah, I think him and Baker have a good rapport. I just think. I have to look and see who else the free agent wide receivers are, but I really think that Tyler Boyd is used to being a number 3. I think he'll get paid closer to a number 2 and, could do some really good things here. It's only going to do well for him.
Even if you're a big name that's out there, and I don't think I'd love to hear Calvin Ridley.
If you're Atlanta, I don't know how you don't re-sign him. Or I forget it. They're either
Jacksonville, you mean?
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. Duh. That's right. Yeah. I always confuse that because I was just thinking of the scenario in Atlanta because they're rumored to be interested in Russell Wilson. But Calvin Ridley. But I think Calvin Ridley's going to get a lot of money too.
I don't know. He really dropped off at the end of the year when Kirk went down. Ridley was nowhere to be found at times, and he displayed. I thought a poor attitude. He was part of the Jacksonville's dip to not make the playoffs. I'm a little. I don't know. There's something that I just didn't see right at the end of the year, but we'll see. For me,
Bama guy
also has and I don't know. I need a guy that's a little selfless if we're gonna have that AJ in the room. So, I'm not. That's a name that's up there. And then one other name I thought was interesting was Hollywood Brown. But again, I think he's more in the mold of a Devontae. I mean, look, you can never have too many skilled, fast people, but
I think that would have been, if we brought in Kingsbury, I think that would have been more of a realistic opportunity for Hollywood Brown because they got along in Arizona. I think that's where you would have seen that. I think that would have made a lot of sense. But I mean, that would be, I mean, again, anything is better than Quez Watkins, but like most of the options, all the options that we said are all, I mean, 15-fold better.
Yeah.
Sorry, like, look, I know the guy was predicated on his speed, but every opportunity he's ever had, he's never been able to do it. And we keep saying this year's the year, this year's the year. It's not. He comes up short in the big moments. We give him a chance and he just doesn't take it. And look, it's not a perfect world. You got two, world beater receivers in front of you. And when your opportunity is called, you haven't picked up the phone. And it's not like the craziest catches. He's tried making diving attempts when it wasn't needed. I mean, the Super Bowl was a huge one.
Yep. No, I can't wait to get into the free agent market, which will be coming up soon, obviously.
That's my time of the year.
Oh, it's awesome. And figuring out, because really, will we spend on one? I don't know. Howie's so calculated. He might already have a guy in mind to trade for too. So, when it comes to receivers, we could draft, trade, or sign, and that's something I do think the Eagles do value the receiver position. They don't spend for running backs. Got it. They spend for O-line. They spend for receivers. They don't even spend that much for tight ends. But really decently paid. But in the end, they didn't give Ertz the hugest, and that's one of the reasons. But one last thing, Super Bowl, let's talk about real fast. Amazing football weekend. Some crazy games. Just, I got to say, and this is truth be told, I thought there were two idiots last week, and it was Todd Monken. I just don't even understand what kind of game plan you had against Kansas City to hand the ball off to your running backs just 6 times, and then just watch Spagnuolo just blitz the death out of Lamar Jackson. You do nothing about it. And then Dan Campbell, I'm sorry, but you can agree or disagree, and I think a lot of people are more in the agreement side. I love aggression. I hate reckless aggression, and he was way beyond. You don't do that. Like, you can do that against what I said, Carolina Panthers and Washington Commanders. You can't do that against the best of the best. You can't leave points on the board. At least once. And people say, "Oh, Josh Reynolds should have caught." Yeah, maybe. I got you. But it was 2-3 times that he put his team at a disadvantage.
I think, I kind of take the point where I'm a little in disagreement, but I think the second time he's got to just take the 3 there. I think the first, because his style has always been go for it. And I think what happens is when you clam up, because we've been on the receiving end of clamming up, instead of going for it, we've clammed up and took points off the board. I feel like, was it in the Super Bowl or was it something we did within the last year or so? Like, I think I feel like it was a Super Bowl.
Well, I can tell you
this
year versus Seattle, we played really passive and gave them the ball back to win the game. We kicked the field goal.
Right. And I think there was a moment in the Super Bowl too. But yes, it's when you go away from what got you there, that's when I think bad things happen. Now, look, the bad things happen. They didn't catch the ball. They didn't convert. So take it for what you will. I think probably the second time he probably should have kicked. But I think the first time I had absolutely no problem with going for it because that's how they got there. And the Baltimore game, I mean, they really could have won it. And what pissed me off is all Lamar Jackson had to do was score 1 touchdown himself, and I'd be $800 richer. But he didn't for me because I had a 6-leg parlay, and literally I did like a super teaser on the points and the spreads, but I did anytime touchdowns by Lamar and David Montgomery. And so I did the
Montgomery
over.
Got his end.
Right. And literally if Lamar scores a touchdown, they have the 7 more points and they hit the
and Zay Flowers. That sucks for you, but Zay Flowers too's got feel like crap. But again, I mean, even like I just don't understand what their strategy. behind watching just KC blitz you to death and you not even taking advantage. Because there's one time they ran on first down to Gus Edwards, he goes for 15, doesn't get another first down run the rest of the game. Like I
don't know what they saw, what made them clam up like that. That it makes no sense because there was a stat. They're like, I think Harbaugh's either like over in 15 or 1 in 15 when they run less than 20 times a game.
Yeah. And
they
then
six times. 6.
Yeah. You can't even like call the Lamar runs. I mean, he ended up with 54 yards. That's fine, but it was 6 runs to your running back.
And I think they said, and 2 of those runs were like reverses to Zay Flowers.
Yeah, and even the 1 or 2 other ones
at all
were like 4th and inches. So they only did it because they had to. And then the Flowers fumble. It did really hurt them. I agree, but Lamar hurt him. Like it did triple coverage. Triple. I don't know. I see a lot of guys really coming out and doubting, and this is where I was on Lamar. I do question his ability to win big games because now he beat Houston, and I thought he finally could do it.
Right. That was my mindset. Same thing with you when we picked the Houston game.
Yeah.
We said Lamar hasn't shown up in the playoffs. If he takes it to Houston, I think he gets that monkey off his back.
Yep.
And then he's throwing interceptions to Isaiah Likely in triple coverage.
Yes.
I mean, look, at one point, now it's quarter Likely's fault for going like this.
Oh, he does it every play, by the way. I've watched it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you see safety.
Yeah.
Corner, boom. And now he did get pushed out of the way a little bit. But even still, yeah, they weren't going to.
So what's your we're gonna get on out of here so we can open up the stream for Tony and his great show coming up here in a second here on Heat Ratio Sports Network. Real quick, Super Bowl. I know we'll pick it next week, but if you had to pick a team right now, who you got?
I mean, I hate everything about this game.
I know
everything about this game. I don't like either team. It's really like I can't stand San Francisco. I can't stand Kansas City. Honestly, at this point, though, the only reason why I think I would pick Kansas City is because it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, and it's becoming so hard.
Yeah,
to bet against him because in every situation, it just works out for him.
It does. I know. And I'm with you. And then on the flip side right now, and it sees I wish it could just end in a tie, but I love it. That's a great answer. I'm going San Fran early lean right now.
Yeah.
I've just seen too many situations where that team should be dead and well below 6 feet under the earth or the ground. And Green Bay should have done it. Detroit should have done it. And somehow they've come back in 2 times that Shanahan has never come back in those situations from. Got to be lucky to win some of these Super Bowls, and they were lucky. Don't get me wrong; they won the game too. Like I'm not
right.
So I don't know. Right now, I'm leaning San Fran, but I'm with you on the same thing. Like if Mahomes is a dog going into this game, I'm probably going to end up flipping the KC because he doesn't lose as a dog. But Kelsey anytime touchdown. I do like. I will say this. Tony threw it out there last night on a show. I was doing 12.5 rushing yards from Purdy. Looks interesting, especially the way the Chiefs play defense, which is a lot of all-out blitzes, then man-to-man coverage on the back end.
Yep.
Yeah, I also like, for me, I think catches out of the backfield. Right now, McCaffrey, you can get it 4.5. I do think they're going to have to throw him the ball. So Chiefs let up a lot of running back catches, too. Last week, they had Justice Hill catch 4. So, I mean, McCaffrey's going to get more. Yeah. He plays 95% of snaps. So, I like 4.5 catches from McCaffrey.
Yeah, I think those are some good bets. I'm going to try and make it up. I'm going to have to take some of your guys' advice and get some money back.
Yeah. Oh, man, that one hurts. But, yeah, we'll get into it next week. We'll have a full Super Bowl show here at 4th and Go, Heat Ratio Sports Network. That's it from me, Dave Gleckner. And Marc Tomasini. We'll be back here next week on a Thirsty Thursday again to break down the Super Bowl and so much more. Let's hope the Sixers pull it out tonight. Maxey put up a mammoth first half. At one point, he was 6 for 6 from 3. Had 29 points. Let's see what he's got now. He's or 26 points. I'm sorry. So he's still at that. We could see another 50 burger out of Maxey tonight potentially. So yeah, that'd be fun in his return. And like Marc said, on the night of his first All-Star nomination, that's a great way to go out and play.
Yep.
So that's it for me. That's it for Marc. Until next week, have a great one. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. It goes a long, long way. And thanks for everyone for tuning in and giving us some questions and comments and some great
we love that. Bring it to us.
We do love it. Until next week, we're out of here.